anyone who we expect to get the Premier League Player of the Season towards the end of the season, anyone who's really jumping out.
It's an obvious one, isn't it? You know, Liverpool are going to win the league, so it's going to be Salah.
I don't think it'd be Salah for Liverpool. I think it'd be Van Dijk. I think you say Van Dijk for Liverpool.
Mate, Salah's missed over a month of the season, and he's got 25 goal contributions.
But does this feel like a standout Salah season to you?
It doesn't, but the stats alone will say if Liverpool do go on and win the league, let's guarantee it will probably be a Liverpool player. And I understand where you're coming from Van Dijk, but it's Salah, and especially he might not be in the Premier League by the summer, by the time the summer comes. So it might be one of those ones where they just go, yeah, let's give him a little bit.
Do you know if we go off the feeling rather than the actual stats themselves? I think, to sort of agree with you, the feeling is that Van Dijk is more of a standout this season. I'll tell you why I think that, right? Salah's numbers are always so good, man. Like, Salah's numbers always shock me. I'm like, God, I knew he's banged a lot of goals and assisted a lot, but that many, they're always like that. Whereas Van Dijk, we were having this conversation the other day, right? And we were talking about Van Dijk, where he stands in the all-time great Premier League. This is only his third, in my opinion, elite season where I go, you have been a real question of whether you're the best in your position in the world at that moment in this season. This is only the third time I think Van Dijk's done it. So because of that, because we're not as used to it as Salah, I think he would be the standout one if Liverpool were to push on and win the league.
It's a little harsh. Just a little.
Really?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I think he's had 3 amazing seasons, but like, I think it was the injury that fucked up.
That's the thing. There's that narrative thing where it's like, after the injury, there was a lot of people going, "Oh, is he done? Is he done? Was that it?" And it's like, he's proven this year, no way.
Storylines do matter,
up, man.
Storylines matter, and this is like, as you say, like he's having an elite season, a comeback story of when everyone's wrote him off.
Exactly.
We fucking love a comeback.
Yeah.
So I think that might play into it.
Would you give it to a defender that wasn't part of the best defence in the league?
Well,
I mean, if they're a title winner,
it's hard.
You can not have the best defence in the league and win the title.
It's also like, there's a bit of context to that, because I get where you're going, and I quite like it, because you're about to say that Arsenal got the best defence in the league, right?
How would I dare?
I'm never going to argue it. Well, we have. Statistically, we have got the best defence in the league. But I think the difference with Van Dijk, when I watch Liverpool play, I watch the way Arsenal play, and don't get me wrong, our defenders are unbelievable. I think Saliba's easily second to Van Dijk in the league in terms of best centre-backs, but our whole team defend as a unit. Our whole team is built quite defensively, really. Like, the wingers track back quite a lot. We've always got a pressing number 9. Like, we've got Declan Rice in midfield. Whereas with Liverpool, they play this rock and roll football where everyone else just runs up and Van Dijk goes, "Oh, it's just me and Alisson trying to stop these goals, is it?" And they fucking do.
He's more exposed.
Yeah, he's more exposed.
And it's only 2 goals difference. So, like, what you're saying is that Van Dijk is more relied upon.
Yes.
And therefore, his contribution is greater.
And I don't listen. I'm really trying not to talk down the Arsenal defenders, because I do think they're world class. But I think, exactly as you say, Brian. I think they've got a much bigger job on his hands at Liverpool. And I think there is so many times where I've watched Liverpool games and I've gone, this feels more open than I'd expect a team at the top of the season. And then it's just like, but it's because Van Dijk stops them every time.
Currently, if we're talking goal contributions, the top guy is Watkins. He's done more. So he's on 26. Salah is on 24, and Haaland is on 23.
Do we expect Villa to get Champions League? I do. I think I'd expect them to get that 4th place now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
we have to mention him.
I expect Villa to get it, not so much on how brilliant they are at the moment, but just on the chasing pack.
Don't think Spurs get it? Don't think Spurs catch them?
I think there's obviously a chance, game in hand, and then if they were to win that, they're only 1 point behind Villa or something like that. But I think that if you're looking, like you said about the storyline, everything will be decided on that team's achievement. If you look at the top of the league, whoever wins the Premier League, it's probably going to be them, right? If Villa were to get Champions League, it would probably be him. Maybe you could make an argument that if Tottenham were to nip them to it, you could look at Son, because his numbers are really, really good as well. So it's all going to be on that. The one interesting thing I do think, if Arsenal win the league, it's going to be Declan Rice, I'd imagine. If it's not going to be Declan Rice, it might be Saka, Saliba. There's other shouts in there. And obviously, we've already spoke about the Liverpool ones. If Man City were to win the league, then who is it?
Rodri.
Because it would be Rodri, wouldn't it?
For me, because he's so essential.
It ain't going to be Haaland.
Yeah.
Like, Haaland's numbers are ridiculous. He's still there, but he's not out of sight. There's still a question mark at this point in the season right now, and a debate possibly that someone else could finish the top goal scorer this season. And when we were looking at last season,
disgraceful, by the way. No, like I'm actually going to kick this fucker right now, right? Because there's a lot of. Haaland is a great footballer and he's so gifted in so many ways. He's got every genetic gift that you could want in a centre forward. But there's some things that you're just born with, in my opinion. And as a finisher, as someone who watched Alan Shearer for a long, long time, that motherfucker is nowhere near the finisher Alan Shearer was. I'm not saying he's not quicker, stronger, bigger, all of the other things that Man City fans either might argue his touches, but I don't give a shit. But as a straight up finisher, and it's not even just Shearer, like Van Nistelrooy even, like, and it's not that he can't get better, I accept that, but like, if there's one thing that this season's really shown me is like, just like Raheem Sterling, like you benefit so much from getting thousands of chances in that team. And yeah, he's probably still the best out and out striker in world football. But like when people are already putting him as the greatest Premier League striker of all time, I'm like, yeah, I'm not there with him. Like
when he had the debut season he had, I remember before I was saying that I think Harry Kane would have scored more goals in that Man City team. And whoever I said it to, or if I said it online, I'd have got laughed at so much after that debut season. When all levels out over a 5-season period, I don't think that is crazy to say that if both of them spent 5 seasons at Man City, that Harry Kane would have converted more chances than Haaland. I mean, he missed an absolute sitter yesterday against Man United, didn't he? So I don't think that he would be their standout. I think definitely Rodri would probably be the one. Kevin De Bruyne you can't give it to because he hasn't played enough. Foden is definitely...
That's what I was going to say. Foden, for me, we had a conversation. I mean, there's been a lot of conversations comparing Saka and Foden. I think they're mainly a bit daft because they played a similar position but very differently. The thing I thought with Foden at the start of the season, I was like, the reason I don't
even get A-levels.
Yeah, exactly. Well, A-levels. Listen, that's one thing I fucking love about Foden. He's a proper chav, and as someone who was a chav growing up, I love him. I reckon his mum was riding an XL bully around the living room when he scored that goal yesterday. I like Foden, right? But at the start of this season, I said with Foden, I was like, I've never seen you put a team on your back. I think you've sat next to De Bruyne, you've sat next to Haaland while they've done it. I think you could look at that Manchester derby yesterday. Haaland misses a big chance. Foden just goes and wins the game for him.
Do you know
Off the back of winning the game for them against Bournemouth as well in a tight game.
I was right there with you, and I've been there like for the last few seasons in that. And to be fair to the lad, like you're in a team full of more mature players. Obviously, they are going to be dragging you over the line more than you are. But that's the next level of his progression as a footballer we've been waiting for. When do you become the main man? And it was earlier this season against Everton. I was watching the game in a pub and I was like, they just need someone to step up here because Everton are defending so well. Yeah. They need someone. And literally, the words left my mouth, he fucking buries it. And identically, in the Man United game, I'm watching the game, I'm like, the City weren't looking good.
No.
Like, and Man United were defending fairly well, and you're like, just like Rashford, you need someone who's willing to just take it and have a go. And when he rocketed that, I was like, you are the guy now. You've actually graduated in this season, and you've fucking proved me not wrong necessarily, but like you've delivered what I was wanting.
Yeah.
And now Kevin De Bruyne, although he had that amazing game when he played against Newcastle, he's still coming back from injury, and he hasn't looked to the immediate standard. And as expected, you've come back from a hell of an injury. Foden, he's fucking carrying them this season.
Do you know what's mad? He might win Player of the Season. Southgate still ain't going to pick him in the starting lineup.
Yeah.
He's making it almost impossible though when you're scoring the kinds of goals and you're scoring in the past. We would argue, he doesn't score the first or second goal that wins them the game. He scores the glory goals on the end. He's now he's scoring and creating like definitive match-winning moments on his own with no help at times.
He's become a clutch player. I look at City and I think, you know what, when Rodri's not there, you lose games. But then there's been so many games this season where I'm like, if it weren't for Foden, you might not have won that game. You're becoming the match winner. And that's something I didn't know if he had in his locker.
I'd still put Rodri above his importance for me, just because when you look at the stats, it's very hard to quantify like a defensive midfielder, but the great thing about him is when you pull him out the team, it goes to shit. So you know
yeah.
Because when he's there, they win fucking every time almost.
So if we can guarantee that whoever wins the Premier League are going to have the player that wins Player of the Season, if it's Arsenal, it could be Rice, could be someone else. City we spoke about. If it wasn't them, are we then all agreeing that it would be Ollie Watkins? Because that was the name you suggested there.
I mean, in terms of goals and assists, it's weird because he doesn't do it with a level of flair of a Mo Salah, but the numbers are outrageous. Like, it's ridiculous what we're watching here.
A name, I'm going to chuck a name out there, and he won't get it because of his injuries, but I think if he'd stayed fit, he might have done. James Maddison.
Yeah.
Before Christmas, the way he was playing at Tottenham, and I think if Tottenham had got Champions League, if he had have stayed fit, that'd have been another one where we're like, how is Southgate not picking this geezer? Like, he when he has been fit, he's been unbelievable for Spurs, but I've said it a few times this season, it's why no one else bought him because he can't stay fit.
I could chuck a name in there that absolutely, definitively, 100% will not be anywhere near this conversation. But we had a little talk about him when we said about best signing, Ross Barkley. If Luton stay up, man, they've got Ross Barkley to thank for that. And I actually believe that Luton could stay up, you know. Everton had a little period where they looked decent, but then now, going back like 10 games or so, Everton have looked pony, man. Everton haven't looked good at all.
Forest haven't looked good either.
Forest haven't looked good.
Depends on the points reductions.
Whether or not they've just drawn against Chelsea, that means nothing, mate. I think 2 of the 3 relegated teams last season did the double over Chelsea. Brentford do not look good. You were calling it from the start of the season. I think there's a chance, I think it's an outside chance, but I think there's a chance Luton stay up. And if they do, no one can tell me any different. Ross Barkley is the reason that team have stayed up. And remember, that won't be the reason a promoted team have stayed up. It will be the reason that the team that every single person thought would be a rock bottom and competing to take the award or the prize off Derby County as the worst Premier League side ever, he'll be the reason that team stayed up if it happens. So
if we are on an agreement that the team that wins the league the player will get it from that team, you think?
Not always, but most likely.
Right.
It's going to
be. So the problem is we don't know what the hell's going to happen, and Foden is really starting to fucking smell of coffee, right? So is it going to be Foden or Rodri? And I suggest we pick like 1 or 2 players from each of the 3 clubs and try and whittle it down. Foden or Rodri? Who would we say?
For me, my gut instinct just goes towards Rodri for some reason.
I think it will be Rodri because I reckon, and I think he still qualifies for this, but Foden could win Young Player of the Year. Could he still qualify for that?
23, I'm not sure.
Is he a little bit too old?
I feel like he's 24. The reason I'd go Foden is because obviously Rodri does the things that not necessarily highlight reel worthy. Foden is really starting to knock up some sort of highlight reel for this season, and I just feel like, especially because he's English, I feel like they might lean towards him, even though I would give it to Rodri.
I just think the impact that he has, and like, bear in mind, like, he's been so consistent. I saw a stat the other day that he'd played 55 consecutive games. Obviously, he's had the suspensions, but he hasn't been injured for that entire time. Like, he's been an ever present pretty much in the league, and I think that was the Premier League record in terms of what it could have been. So, you know, when you think about how consistent he's been, the levels above, and how bad they are when he does go out of the team, for me, I would go Rodri.
I agree completely. I'm on the same page. Totally agree. But what they will do is the question for me. I'm like, I feel like they'd more likely give it to Foden because of the entertainment he's providing.
Has Rodri been absolutely brilliant when he's been there? Yeah, 100%. Has Rodri done anything that before this season we doubted he could do? I don't really think he has. I think we knew that he was this level. I think we knew that Rodri would do this, and we knew how important he was. But literally, like, we're going back not even that long. We sat around this table and had the conversation exactly like you said, of like, yeah, if they get 4, Foden's going to get 1 or 2, but he's not scoring the winner. He's not doing the clutch moments and stuff like that. So I think that Foden, out of the 2 of those, if we're going on a City player, he's the one that showed something this season that I personally doubted that he would do. So that
storylines matter in this, don't?
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like we're leaning towards Foden.
Foden for me, yeah. Foden gets
I'd go Rodri.
Okay, well, we'll suggest that Foden could be the guy if it's City. Liverpool, are we saying Van Dijk?
I would go Van Dijk, but I know you.
I just think when you've taken Salah out for pretty much 6 weeks of the season, he's got the amount of impact. That he's got 15 goals, 9 assists, I think it is. I mean, that is a lot when you consider how many games he's actually played. And bear in mind, there will always be a weighting towards attacking players, especially when you look at this award. If you look at the last 10 years, I think it's only been Van Dijk actually that's been the defender in the top. So
has he won one before?
Yeah, Van Dijk's won one.
Oh, okay.
Salah's won 2.
All right.
So this would be the hat trick of.
I would lean towards Salah because of exactly what you've said. Of he's been out the team, and yet he's still, I think, other than Ollie Watkins, the biggest contributor. And we all know he's gonna overtake Ollie Watkins towards the end of the season.
Yeah.
Salah. All right. What about Arsenal then? Who gets the Arsenal?
Rice. It's got to be Rice. For me, it's got to be Rice. There's such a different feeling and feel to that midfield. As someone without a horse in the race, when I watch it, it's just different now. It's got Rice in it. And how often, I think I've said this before, but when does £100 million signing, bearing in mind I'm a Chelsea fan, when do they ever live up? When do they ever live up, mate? Then you don't even question the price.
Whenever they're a former Chelsea player.
Is Rice worth 100 million?
He's worth 150.
Yeah.
We honestly, I feel like I should give West Ham more money for him. He's been that good. Honestly, he really is.
You're going to tip them.
If he was 150 million, no one would blink. He's been that good. I still think, and I said it on this podcast before, but if we're going to do it, one of our attacking players has to put a cape on his back. Saka's doing that. Saka can't stop scoring. And if we do it, it will be because he has not stopped scoring. Because you look around our front line, it's not going to be the rest of them scoring the goals. It's not going to be Jesus. It's not going to be Havertz. It's not going to be Martinelli. Not going to be Trossard. If we do it, it's going to be Saka. And as you say, Brian, there is narrative with this stuff. And don't get me wrong, the Declan Rice narrative is unbelievable because I think we are now, I can comfortably sit here and say I think we're the best out of possession team in the world, Arsenal right now. I think when we don't have the ball, we're as good as anyone. And I think, as you say, I think Declan Rice is a huge part of that. I don't want to say it too much, but Havertz is a big part of that as well. But if we do it, there's going to be a story of a young kid in Saka who came through as an academy graduate. He came through as a left back who put the team on his back and dragged us from 8th place to a title. There is a rare chance that we win this league without him scoring. I think we've got 12 Premier League games left, including tonight against Sheffield United. If we win the league, I think he has to score 8 goals. And if he does score 8 goals, I think that will take him to 23 Premier League goals for the season. As a winger, he's winning player of the season.
Yeah. I think if you ask most Arsenal fans to go for their player of the season, they go Saka over Rice. I think it would be tight.
It's super tight, man. And it's super tight. And it's also you can't win the league with bad defence. The defence is all down to Rice. It's not all down to Rice, but Rice he's been so transformative in what we do. But yeah, Saka's just... Again, I'm not going to sit here and put my house on us winning the league, but I've said to you 100 times, if we're going to do it, an attacking player needs to just go nuts. Yeah. And
I think I base my argument of who I would have, as I have done for all of this, on difference makers and maybe players that have made the difference in comparison to seasons gone by when I haven't seen them do it. So I'm not saying I haven't seen Declan Rice do it, but he's only just signed for Arsenal. I've never seen him do it in this team, and I've never seen a player transform that midfield like Declan Rice has and make it look so much more sturdy, so different. You've had a mainstay in Thomas Partey out for pretty much the whole season, and you don't miss him, you know what I mean? And that's a really important thing. So with Saka, absolutely brilliant. And I'll tell you what, if Arsenal won the league and Saka did win it, I wouldn't be going, Rice deserved that one. I'd be just happy enough for him as an English player doing it. But I just think in terms of what Saka's doing, I've seen this from him. Maybe not to this exact level, but I have seen it. Yeah. Whereas Rice, it's like, this is something new to me. And maybe that's why it pushes me towards
it. And to flip that, as you say, if we win it this season, you'll go, okay, well, Arsenal didn't quite win it last season, then they added Rice and they did. Yeah. I think the thing that you're not going to be able to see is what would Arsenal look like. We've seen what Arsenal look like without Declan Rice. And to be fair, we still were 100 days more than that at the top of the Premier League table. You take Saka out of this Arsenal team, we're having Champions League conversations. We're in a race with Emery and Spurs. We're honestly, I think he's that important.
So just a quick one on that then. We've all sat here and spoke about the possibility of Virgil van Dijk getting it if Liverpool were to win the league. Well, at the moment, Arsenal have the best defence in the league. Is Saliba harshly done by that? We haven't really mentioned it that much.
Mate, I'll tell you who's harshly done by is Gabriel. There have been enough games this season where Gabriel's had a better game than Saliba has.
Gabriel ain't fucking winning player of the season.
No, he's not. Of course he's not. Of course he's not. But I'll tell you right now, name me a better left-footed centre-back.
I mean, other than
Levi Colwill,
yeah. I said centre back, not left back.
I mean, Harry Maguire as well. Slap him.
Magalhaes is fucking miles ahead. Honestly, you're bang on with Saliba, and he's one of those where I think we get so starstruck at Arsenal by the Ødegaards, by the Saka. When our attacking players are on form, we're an attacking club. It's that's the foundation Arsene Wenger left is we look at that. William Saliba is so important to this team. As soon as he came out of the team last season, we've bottled the title race. He's the one, well, I've got to be honest with you, he's the one where I shit myself in the stomach because I'm like, Real Madrid are going to come one day, they're going to spend a lot of money, they're building a French thing there, there's Mbappe there, there's the Camavinga, Tchouameni. I could see Saliba becoming the most expensive centre-back in the world one day, and he's a fucking unbelievable footballer. But don't take anything away from his partner, Gabriel, because Gabriel's been unbelievable this season. And as an attacking threat, the main thing we've added as an attack this season is what we do at set pieces. If we can't play through you, it doesn't matter. We'll get a corner and we'll score.
Yeah, your set pieces are ridiculous.
Yeah, we score more than anyone else in the league, and Gabriel scores most of them, mate. Yeah. He's an absolute fucking menace.
Statistically, Foden's got 18 goal contributions. Saka has 20 in the Premier League, and Mo Salah has 24. So I guess we're leaning Mo Salah overall currently. But obviously, it will depend on who wins the Premier League. But if we were to nail it, who we're going for?
I've got my feeling on the eye test at the minute, right? Liverpool are pulling out these limbs 99th minute winners. But when Arsenal were doing that, like the Reece Nelson one against, I think it was Bournemouth last season, I was saying it can't keep happening. You'd back like law of averages for it to not keep happening. And for that reason, sometimes I'm like, will it keep happening with Liverpool? I get the Jurgen Klopp things there. I've got a feeling Arsenal are winning this league title. So if they do, for me, I think I would go with one of Declan Rice and Saka. Because of the goals, let's go Saka.
Shout out Joey, by the way. He's a great boxer as well as a content creator. If people don't listen to the Joey Knight podcast, get on it, man.
Just rewind last week, though, by the way. You were predicting Liverpool to win. So something's changed in the last week or so.
I'm a Chelsea
Arsenal
fan,
haven't
mate.
even played, mate.
I'm a Chelsea fan. Things change very often in my world, mate.
Who would you say, Jacob?
I've got a horrible feeling about City at the moment. There's something inevitable about them, and I think there's a narrative going towards Foden. And I think you're right in saying that narrative's so important. And I think with Rodri, winning the Champions League with him last season, I feel like it's like Foden's turn to have a story this time round. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go Foden. But that I've got to admit, there's massive recency bias there. I've just watched him win a Manchester derby, and that's definitely what's written in my head.
Agreed.
So I'm going to go Foden, and with City winning it.
Well, I think this is a farewell tour year with Jurgen Klopp leaving, with Salah potentially on the way out. And I think what will happen is that narrative will build towards the end of the season. Liverpool will keep on winning because there's a feel-good factor about the club. They'll probably win a treble. If they win a treble and you've got Jurgen Klopp leaving and Salah on the way out, I could see it just being Salah. I really could. And he's like, bear in mind, he's banked the goals and assists already. And I think he comes back into the team and he sets on fire and he scores loads of more goals.
The fact that we're comparing Foden and Saka, who are on 18 and 20, I think it was, and Mo Salah who's on 24, who's literally taken a leap, like a leap year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
he's gone on holiday.
Yeah. He's gone backpacking, right? Like, that shows the level of Mo Salah and the rest. So I'm picking Mo Salah.